Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Make sure to follow us on Discord and stop by TSJ101sports.com, where the Pro Wrestling Podcast is the official podcast for professional wrestling. Guys, are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video games? Stop immediately and go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create a wrestler, sign a contract, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family and you want your name in a shout out, stop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast and sign up today. Don't forget our loyalty rewards program. Any $15 a month contributor gets to co-host an episode of one of our live shows. And for $7.50 a month contributors, you get entered into a drawing to also co-host a live episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you have questions, you have comments, anything you want us to talk about in a future episode, drop us a line at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160. Give us your questions, something you want us to cover in the show. You want us to investigate something for you or talk about an old show and bring it up and do a whole review. Whatever it is, put your comments into the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line. It is a talk to text service. You talk, it'll text it to me, and we'll be able to get to some of your conversation in a future episode. Don't forget to head to the homepage of the Pro Wrestling Podcast at Fro Wrestling. That's FRO Wrestling.com. And we'll talk to you about all of our previous interview series, all of our sponsors, everything about the Pro Wrestling Podcast is there for you, as well as our merchandise store and our suggested videos, a lot of really rare wrestling video moments you can click on through our show. It's also where you'll find Infro's Corner, our blog. So check that out. So tonight, a couple things to get to. We're going to get to the Royal Rumble in a moment. Just want to throw a couple things out there about the current news. One of the things that broke today is that in 2019, Moose, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, self-professed heavyweight champion, his contract was signed in 2019, 2-year deal, and will expire this coming July. And I would assume that when he becomes a free agent, that he will be very much sought after by both WWE and AEW, and potentially a return to Ring of Honor, where he has previously had a lot of success. Impact Wrestling, of course, stays in the fold and could potentially offer him a lucrative deal as well. They've been re-signing a lot of talent lately. But with the market the way it is and the way people are looking to secure talent and really provide as much talent to their fan bases as they can, I can see him being a major get for whatever company he goes to, even someplace like MLW or New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Moose will be an interesting person to keep an eye on in the coming months when his contract comes due. One of the other really crazy tidbits of news has to do with CM Punk. This episode we're recording on January 27th, 2021, and that is the 7-year anniversary of CM Punk walking out of WWE. And he put like a jesting kind of joking conversation up on social media, on Twitter, about that. And the reason I find it interesting is because also in the news was that the feeling right now is that CM Punk and WWE, along with EA Sports, have been in negotiations since last summer with regards to a potential working relationship with the 2K video game franchise for WWE. There has not been any official word on whether that would lead to a return to the ring or not, but in the past, the pre-order character for the video game has always been somebody who does something with the company. And it would be interesting, they did that with Bill Goldberg, et cetera, with Sting. It would be interesting to see if there has been an olive branch put out there, and if Punk, all the things he said on social media in the last 6-8 months, has been very open to a return for the right amount of money and the right program. Money-wise, let's face it, with the kind of money deals that these guys are signing, it would be no surprise to me if Vince would pony up the cash to pay whatever it took to get Punk back, because it would be the biggest story in the world of professional wrestling. The program is where it gets more complicated. Who do you put Punk in the ring with that would be exciting for Punk? And I know when he was on Renee Paquette's podcast, he had talked about how nobody in WWE really excited him. But I would actually argue that if there have been negotiations with him in any facet, that something to do with Every time we've seen him speak on her show and others, it's always been how there's nobody. But then when you think about it, if he was coming back, why would he tell you? That would ruin the surprise. So what I feel like is what we're looking at is a situation where if there is a negotiation for Punk, that's a big if they're negotiating for him to ever make any kind of appearance in WWE again, who would you put him against? Please put your thoughts in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, if you're on one of the other streaming services, give us your feedback in the comments. Who would you put Punk against? There would be an exciting enough program for him to want to come back to compete. Is it AJ Styles? Is it Daniel Bryan? Is it a whole lot of people? Is it somebody younger like a Riddle or something like that? I don't know. But it would be interesting to see what you guys' thoughts are on that topic. I, for one, would love to see him do a program with Shinsuke Nakamura, but that's just me. Getting to the Royal Rumble, the whole point of tonight's show, Royal Rumble predictions. The card is out as much as I think we're going to get. The WWE United States Championship will be defended. Bobby Lashley defending against Riddle. Let's face it, Lashley has had that championship for an extended period of time. And I actually think they may be considering putting him in WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar, and I don't think you need the United States Championship to do that. It has been made to look like Riddle has been kind of like Bobby Lashley's lapdog in all their matches previously, tapping out repeatedly. Even the one that he ended up winning, which was shady business, he was still tapping in. And I understand it's scripted, but my point is you take a guy who you've made look that weak and then you give him another championship opportunity at a major pay-per-view. I think we see a title change, and I think we see Riddle walk out as the new United States champion. For the Intercontinental Championship, we have Big E defending against Sami Zayn. Let's be honest. Sami Zayn had a nice little run with the championship. I see this as two possibilities. If Sami Zayn were to regain the championship, it would be because WWE is listening to fans who want to see Big E in a bigger main event program. I don't know if Big E's popularity is on the level that you can put him in the ring with Roman Reigns yet. I want it to be. I agree with everybody else he deserves to be, but I don't know that it's there yet, especially in terms of Vince McMahon's perception of Big E. I believe that when we get to WrestleMania, that one of the part-timers is going to take that spot with Roman Reigns. I'm just not sure who that's going to be yet. So I think that Big E retains the Intercontinental Championship simply because he's not ready for the World Championship. And why else would you put the IC title on him to give him this incredibly short reign and make it meaningless if you did it at this point in time? For the Women's Tag Team Championship, Asuka and Charlotte Flair against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I have a tough time with this one. I think you need to get a championship off of Asuka at some point. I don't care which championship. She's had the Women's Championship for an extended period of time, and now she has the Tag Team Championship. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, I am not a fan of Nia Jax. I'm not dumping her as a person, but I don't like her in-ring skills. Another scary choke slam moment this past week on Raw. I mean, it's getting to be where she's going to become a liability at some point if she keeps hurting people in the ring. I understand that we didn't have any major injuries this week, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't possible for it to have happened again. She needs to work on her in-ring skills. If you're going to tell me that Vince McMahon wanted to send Keith Lee back to developmental to hone his skills, then Nia Jax needs to do the same thing. So I don't want to see Nia Jax and Shayna walk out as tag team champions, but I have a funny feeling they may go that route anyways. And I know this is going to sound like a stretch, but I feel like if you do that and you have Charlotte turn on Asuka, that what you could do is Ric Flair and all this storyline with Lacey Evans, I think that could lead to Ric Flair was doing what he was doing with Lacey Evans to make Charlotte angry and get her to turn into that villainous character she's been in the past and to get her edge back, and that would happen when she turns against Asuka. Not saying that's what they're going to do. That's just how I would book it to get out of this Ric Flair situation, which is a horrible angle to begin with. And I think it would make more sense. And let's face it, Asuka and Charlotte, they've been in the ring. They have great chemistry, and they're not a tag team. They really should never have had a tag team championship opportunity to begin with, but whatever. For the WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg. This is a very challenging one for me to choose, and I'm going to explain why. Because I still am under the impression that Goldberg might be the man to challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And if that's the case, I don't think he can do that as WWE champion. We need 2 championship matches because Mania apparently is going to be over 2 nights again, and that would mean you need a championship on each night. So I don't think you can have one with both titles. I also do not think they're going to do Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre again anytime soon because they want to hold that off for a couple years. That being said, I also don't see The Rock coming in and facing Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. So my prediction is Drew McIntyre retains the championship, leading to a match with Sheamus probably in February, and then we'll see what happens with the WrestleMania opponent in the future. I think there is a small, and I emphasize this, a small chance that John Cena challenges Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at the WrestleMania pay-per-view because he's a main event, big name draw, and because I don't think anybody remembers seeing the match happen before, and that's the kind of matches you want to see at Mania, is once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Cena has kept in incredible shape, and I would not be surprised to see that match happen. For the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. I love Kevin Owens. I love everything he's done in this whole feud. But let's be honest, no one is taking the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns anytime soon. As a matter of fact, I would not be surprised if he retains that championship for an entire 2-year stretch. And The Rock is the one who takes it from him at WrestleMania, even though The Rock wants to put him over. I'm just being honest. So, with my opinion about that, I make my prediction. Roman Reigns will retain the Universal Championship. That brings us to the Women's Royal Rumble. The Women's Royal Rumble, there's several participants announced. Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Tamina. There's 18 more that haven't been named. I'm going to tell you right now, my honest opinion is if we are ever going to see Ronda Rousey return, it will be at this show. If we want to pop the crowd, even though it's a month, maybe a month and a half after giving birth, Becky Lynch may show up in this match. I think if you had to pick a winner, though, and if I were WWE, I would be pushing Bianca Belair to the moon because she connects with the crowd, her character is unique, and she has got all the God-given in-ring talent you need to be a megastar. I would give the win to Bianca Belair, and moreover, I would have Bianca Belair challenging Sasha Banks at WrestleMania for the Women's Championship. And the Men's Royal Rumble. The participants: Edge, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, Cesaro, Otis, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Jey Uso, John Morrison, The Miz, Bobby Lashley, Daniel Bryan, Big E, Randy Orton, and 13 more spots yet to be named. Now, we hope. I say hope because let's be honest. Every year we hope there's great surprises, and in some years they just have none. I'm really pulling for some surprises this year, and if he did not sign a long-term contract, I hope one of those is oh gosh, as I was about to say his name, I totally blanked on his name. Matt Cardona. I would love to see him return to WWE for the Royal Rumble, even if it was just a one-off, if he hasn't signed a full-time contract with Impact. I would love to see someone from the Undisputed Era show up in this match. I would love to see Keith Lee get a real front and center spot in this match. He's not even listed as a participant yet. I'm sure he will be. Braun Strowman has not been announced for this, but I hope he will be. So there's a lot of big names out there. But if I had to pick a winner right now, here's where it gets complicated. Goldberg, Big E, and Daniel Bryan are some of the biggest odds getters for this match. My emotional pick would be Shinsuke Nakamura to challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I don't think they're going to go that route. My gut is telling me they're going to go Daniel Bryan, but I have a problem with that because he's been a jobber since coming back. You know, he lost to Jey Uso. He loses, you know what I mean? Like, he's losing to Cesaro and people like that. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to have Cesaro pull off a miraculous win and push him to the main event, I'm okay with that. He's long overdue. I don't see them doing that, though. He doesn't have a reputation high enough to be a main eventer at WrestleMania. So who do you have win this match and then go on to face Roman Reigns? And honestly, I have a weird feeling. I'm praying I'm wrong. Gosh, make me wrong. It's going to be Bill Goldberg. Because let's be honest, he can't walk into Raw and say, give me a WWE Championship match, and he gets it. And then go back and go, I lost that one, so now give me a Universal Championship match. That can't happen. So if you want to see, or if you're WWE, not us, the fans, but if you're WWE and you want to see Goldberg go against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, he kind of has to win the Royal Rumble. So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. My official prediction, Goldberg wins the Men's Royal Rumble for 2021. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. We'll run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all the sound effects and music in our show. Today's podcast is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game by Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And to alleyrepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college or university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our sister website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. And if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, go to tsj101sports.com for their latest articles, or check out my blog, In Fro's Corner, at frowrestling.com. Until next time, take care, everybody, and have a great night.